Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Backcast, where I, Adam Upper, talk with Braden and Kenny about Batman, the animated series. And this week, and this year, to wrap up this year, this episode is Mudslide. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year's Eve.
I was just thinking the other day, I don't think in all the intros I've done, I don't think I've said your name properly once.
I forgive, Adam. I don't forget.
Thinking that on the way to And then it was Saga on Sunday when we were supposed to be recording, but I had to go get my CGC books. I finally got a call from them on Friday when I was
Right.
like Friday night at like 7 o'clock. So I was like, oh yeah, because that was the only time I had free. So finally had to go get those. And hey, glad the Omega Men was the great as it was. So I was kind of hoping it would be that great, but I wasn't necessarily expecting it to be. But glad it worked out. So that where it turned out to be like the most like the book worth the most in my collection now.
Really?
Even
Interesting.
yeah, because the 9.8 clocks in at 325 if you go at the comic price guide. Yeah, my New Mutants 98 is like, if in good condition is worth a lot, worth more. But like I got that graded earlier this year and it was only a 7.5. So it's like worth like 270.
Nice.
So the Mega Man is worth more.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of mutations, we're going to be talking about a mutated supervillain today.
But
One Matt Hagen Clayface.
yes, yeah. So that this episode is Mudslide is the 52nd episode produced, and it's the 63rd episode to air. So, and actually, I didn't write it down, but it was like aired like September 15th, 1993. So almost a full year of into this the point of airing. So I imagine this probably didn't air during the summer. I imagine.
So it's been like right after like the summer break. So
Yeah, yeah,
first thing you're getting right after your
yeah.
school year starts.
It's my, yeah. So it was written by Steve Perry and Alan Burnett. So folks, that's what happens. You can be like a singer for a rock band for years and then retire and then become like a writer for a hit TV show. So
Mhm.
you can do it, folks. So I wonder how many like journey jokes that guy had. He probably got in his lifetime. Probably too many. He's probably tuned into this one. He's like, oh, fuck that guy. He's even doing it. Damn
It's like
Canadians.
the guy in Office Space who's like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
Michael
Michael Bolton.
Bolton, but I'm not that Michael Bolton.
It's like, why
And
did you
then when
change your
his
name?
job is on the line, he's like, "Oh, I totally love Michael Bolton." Like,
It's like, why did you change your name? Like, I'm not changing mine. He's the one who sucks.
you see, load letter.
What the fuck does that mean? Oh, I fucking love that movie so much.
Oh yes, but yeah, Clayface is definitely one of those villains that can be hit or miss for the BTOS fans. I personally like him. I've definitely, I mean, you've kind of figured out by now in my kind of fandom wheelhouse that I even the stuff and the characters I like, I will happily make fun of and like just kind of joke around with. But one thing I learned that is the reason why we don't see a heck of a lot of Clayface is because Bruce Timm and the guys writing the scripts dreaded bringing him on, not because they didn't enjoy writing him, they were hard pressed when it came to animating him
I
because
imagine that
he,
would be like one of the harder
yeah,
guys to do all that stuff. Because I think that was even the thing in like Spawn, the animated
yeah.
movie, is doing like the animating like the chains. So it was kind of the similar thing that Clayface has is like they build a put out his body or whatever, like which you see like in this episode or whatever sort of thing. So it was always that was like the hardest thing to animate properly. Yeah, so I imagine that would suck. Yeah,
And especially in this
because
episode
this
when
is yeah this is like the last Clayface episode, right? For the so until like
for
the
this iteration of the show, but he does come back for the new animated series. And he's also in this version, he's his, well, we'll get into the story details in a minute, but they're definitely going for more of a slimier aesthetic to him. So even trickier to kind of figure out how to like translate that in a visual medium of like how to make him look more liquidy. But yeah, you have this episode opening up at Tarnower Financial, where two security guards are doing the graveyard shift, and the older gentleman's walking around, and he says, "I'm gonna go check the parking lot, Billy." And he's like, "Keep an eye on the main entrance." And so we have this quick shot of him descending the staircase, and the second he goes out of frame, that's when an identical security guard walks into the frame and walks in.
Yeah, because you see him like freeze for a second and look up, so you're just like, oh, okay, like, like maybe it looks like he forgot something or whatever, so
Hmm.
he kind of like goes back. So like, yeah, so the guy sitting at the desk kind of like looks up, he's like surprised, and he's like, oh, I didn't hear you walk up. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go check check the boss's office now, because
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's
And one
like, all
animation
right,
thing
right.
that's a quick little detail is if you pay attention enough, you see the guard, the second guard, like the second, like identical guard, he's walking a bit stiffer. And as he's like walking around, he's sweating. And so it's those little like little hints to the audience that something's off. I
Well,
mean, if
no,
you
like,
don't,
well, you see him seeing Tony after he gets into the elevator. So,
yeah.
like, yeah, so initially, like, you take that as like, oh, he's like, okay, yeah, I made it past the guy, yeah,
Hmm.
but and knowing that the guard wasn't, yeah, that was, well, the guard wasn't the guard, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you knew he was
Yeah.
sweating, but initially, you were like, what the fuck is he sweating for? Yeah,
And as he's headed up to the elevator, that's when the other security guard, Billy, is looking at the cameras and he sees the his colleague who had just said he was going to be going to the parking lot is at the parking lot. So he's like, so if
he
he's
kind of
there,
he kind of settles into his seat and kind of was like, what the fuck? And like, yeah, sees on
yeah.
the monitor, yeah, that he's actually is checking the parking lot like he said he was going to, yeah. So yeah, I think then he goes, but then he just goes up to the elevator and goes back up to the office, like
Hmm.
then, and then he's like, and then he comes up and points the gun and he's like, hey, freeze, buddy, or to that
Oh,
basically the effect of, sorry,
one quick detail. He hit the silent alarm before he went up.
oh okay,
Yeah, because that's how Batman finds out that this. I don't know how many places like Batman has silent like a silent alarm like linked to, but like maybe that's another racket that Wayne Enterprises
yeah.
is doing.
Oh yeah, I imagine like every like Wayne Enterprises that he like takes over or whatever becomes that he's just like yeah just wire this button and just he's like what is it? He's like just do
No, never mind.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Put him
Windows and like silent alarm buttons is his is his like subsidiary so far.
Windows, textiles, and silent alarms. He's got very specific markets. But yeah, we have
That
that
is that just made me think of you ever watch Silicon Valley?
I've seen bits and clips of it, but not enough to like know it.
I think in like the first or second season, like that, one of like the investors or whatever was like one of the like the smart guys or whatever sort of thing, and he just like just the weird investment. He was like eating like a sandwich or something like that that had a bunch of like sesame seeds on it. And then he just like went into like how they're produced or whatever. They only come from like a certain couple places. And looks like two of the three places were gonna get like storms in like the next like season or whatever. So he invested in the one that was going to ever just so he can like get
Oh,
money, just like some like really weird like niche investments that would actually reap him like super money if he actually like sort of thing. And
okay.
that's maybe think of that as like the super niche like that thing that Batman would like look into. Yeah, that's maybe think of that. And then like later on this year, like the series, and then that season, I think it like there was like a thing that like said like the storm started, so he like actually so he like found out that his forethought and like his forethought into it
Oh, so he
actually
was
like
right.
worked out. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. So at
yeah.
least
So
it worked
yeah,
out.
so just made me think of that for some reason. Yeah.
Fair enough. So when the security guard Billy goes up to the top because he's like, "Well, clearly you're not the guy that I was talking to." So he pulls a gun out, and what's very clever is I really appreciate like the storyboarding and the editing here because there's little hints that shows you Clayface's next step because a lot of times that's kind of where the animators have a bit of an out when it comes to Clayface because yes, he can transform into all these weapons and like a mud monster and stuff, but he can also transform into people. So we have this shot of the head office guy's portrait, and Clayface is behind the portrait as he's getting a gun pulled on him. And the second he pulls back, he's taken the form of the person in the portrait.
Yeah,
And
you
so
kind
it's
of see him step forward and you hear that
yeah,
the gross
the
wetness
squelch
of him
shot.
changing. Yeah.
That's as close as I'm going to get to the sound effects. I'm very curious how the Foley artist came up with that sound.
Or do we want to know?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the question.
Sometimes it's better not to ask.
Sometimes why is the wrong move, man.
How'd you do that? Like, you don't ask.
You're messing with powers you don't understand. You look too deep into the abyss. So yeah, he's taking the form of the head guy, Mr. Tarnower, and the security guard Billy's shocked. He's like, "Who'd you expect, Batman?" He's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, sir. Hey, wait a second. What happened to your accent? And aren't you supposed to be in Hawaii?" And Clayface is like, "Oh, great." So he takes
So it begs the question is like, what kind of accent do you think he had?
he looks like a Monopoly guy to me. But
So like,
the question is
it's
what
like,
kind of British?
yeah,
You never hear much in terms of Liverpool British people. Like I mean, the richest man was probably John Lennon or Ringo Starr. But
really funny
yeah.
or if you had like a Cockney accent or something. That'd be funny.
Bangers and mash. Don't tip me with on the back of me jam jar. You wanker.
I everything I say a clip I saw recently of like the two guys from like Supernatural with the guy who plays like the double guy or whatever, like Mark Shepard.
Oh yeah.
They're like at like a con or something like that, and like the two of them were like making fun of his voice because he's that has like that his English accent or whatever, and he's just like he's laughing. He's like, "Oh man, how come like you make me sound like point one, you make me sound like Monty Python, and you make me sound like Mary Poppins or something like that or whatever?" And they were just like started like making fun of his voice. So it's fucking hilarious. So
Oh
man, it just made me
gosh.
think like
Now I'm thinking of Dick Van Dyke's accent and Mary Poppins, man. Mary
that.
Poppins. Oh man.
I need to finish season 50 and I didn't I
Oh,
had that.
Supernatural. I thought you meant Mary Poppins. I'm
Oh
like,
no,
there's
no,
a
yeah, yeah,
show?
season
Like,
15 of Mary Poppins, yeah.
and there's
Yeah, yeah,
15
it was like
seasons.
secretly made it to like 15 seasons without nobody knowing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess Reed and Richard are getting close to the pinnacle.
Yeah, because I think they're in like season 10 right now for and their thing, so it'll probably be a while ago. But yeah, because it was weird because like when I wasn't working there, I just when I finally got into that show, and then I was like right when I was getting near the end of watching it, it's like yeah, it was when they're like okay, yeah, season 15 will be the last season and stuff, and I was on season 14 like when that was going on, and I thought that was season 15, so I took that as like the end of this season was the end of it.
Oh.
So the end of it, like I was left on a cliffhanger. I'm like, okay, that kind of sucks, but TV's done that before, and then it's kind of like took it at that and kind of accepted that it was over. And then like September came around and there was like new episodes. I'm like, wait a minute. And I was like, oh, I'm a dumbass. I wasn't paying attention. And I was like, I already kind of let go of the show, and I think I watched like the first like two episodes, and I was like, I kind of already let go of the show. So, but I should probably actually just power through and watch the last season.
I don't think I got past season 3 or 4 because I'm like, okay, once you've fought in the devil, how do you go bigger? which somehow they
Uh,
managed to do. I don't know
it's,
how, but
yeah, yeah, I say that, yeah, I've seen it, and I still don't know how they friggin' somehow managed to do it, but they did.
it's like, I am Conan the Barbarian, Slayer of Cthulhu. And what's your next adventure? What? What are
Or
you
it's
gonna
like,
do now?
or it's like Worf, like near the end, like where he has like that
Yeah.
fucking huge thing. He's like Slayer Duron T.
Oh, that. Oh, so yeah, the Clayface transforms out of the Town Hour form. I forget the last name already. Whatever, it doesn't
So
matter.
yeah,
Um, he and just as he's doing that, that's when Batman, swings in because he heard the silent alarm, and he realizes it's oh, Clayface takes the form of the security guard who he just attacked. And he's like,
yeah,
Batman, look, there's some imposter going around.
yeah,
So
yeah,
he
yeah,
turns
yeah,
and
yeah.
realizes,
Yeah, he shot like a piece of clay at him, yeah, and he just
yeah,
kind of turned into him. He's like, yeah, he's like, hey, Batman, it's an intruder.
yeah.
And as he's doing that, he is able to get away, I think.
This is what I'm talking about. I love like the way that they lay it out, and they have like Clayface uses his brain. I like it. Like it's very well thought out, and it keeps the audience guessing too. Because there's a couple times here where you don't realize, oh, that's who Clayface is until the reveal, and that's one of the fun things about him. Like it's a very keep up with the pace kind of story. But yeah, Clayface, he turns his hand into like a morning star and chain, like one of those spiked balls, kind of
Yeah.
like the Witch King's thing, and like goes for a slam on him. And he
Yeah, so so do you think like even at his like prime, do you think that was just like hard, or is it just like got like weight behind it, or is it just? Or I guess it'd be just like wet clay, so it's just like yeah, it's probably got like he's like getting hit with like a wet sledgehammer.
Well, that's the thing because as the story kind of shows us, Clayface is
Yeah.
gone runnier, shall we say? He needs a little fiber in his diet, if you catch my meaning.
Well, yeah, that's why I said even like in this prime, yeah. So like, yeah, but yeah, so like now it would probably be a little bit less, but like,
It's like
yeah.
a wet slap. It's like hitting him with a wet towel, like or like throwing pudding in his face. Like
What?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I was messaging Adam before. I'm like, you know, I don't know. It's probably the unfortunate shading of color that is clay that of course they went with Clayface here to translate as him from comic book form to the cartoon. But Clayface has always reminded me of Mr. Hanky. He looks like he's made of poo. And this episode is only furthering my argument because as he's like jumping out and he splatters on the on the sidewalk, I'm like, yeah, I've had some of those. Like, and yeah, he's like slowly, like he's like power walking, like he's trying to run away, but he can only go like, oh no, like Batman when he manages to lay it on the ground is able to, outrun him pretty easily. And he was even like, you're slower than usual, and you're usually neater than this too. You imagine Gordon like picking up the crime scene later and being like, "Oh, there's crap everywhere, man."
Because even as he's looking a bit wetter than usual, yeah, he's leaving like the bits and pieces of himself like up and
Yeah.
down the street. And then I noticed at the one point in my notes like the part where he's like went into like the dumpster and got
Mhm.
away. Like he like I think it looked like he left like too much of himself behind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, like bits and pieces I can get, but like what was like leaking over the side of the dumpster after he got in the car and stuff, like, it was like that's too much.
That's like a fifth of his body mass just
Yeah,
sliding down the dumpster.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, as you mentioned, he's just kind of like heaving over the dumpster and like out of breath and looking like, he's just like run a marathon. And that's when this car speeds up, driven by this woman. And she says, Matt, quickly get in. So Batman's like, what's going on here? And he jumps into the back seat and, they drive off. And as Batman turns around, he sees this little steaming Again, the fact that it's steaming is only proving me right. You again, I'm the potter. These creators are the clay. They're just making the material for me. Because Batman takes a sample. He takes a sample of the brown substance, takes it home with him.
It takes a stool sample from that.
Yeah. So I believe that's when we cut to Clayface and this woman who's revealed her name is Stella uh to this cliffside.
Stella.
Well, he's gonna do that in a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he does do that. Um yeah, like oh, Clayface is like the hammiest. Which actor do you think that Clayface, not in terms of who could play Clayface, but in terms of acting style? Who do you think he is? Because to me, he's Nicolas Cage. Like,
yeah.
I could eat chocolate pudding for hours.
Uh,
It's
I
just
really,
completely off the walls, man. He's just scene chewing really amazing.
I really need to watch Face Off again. It's been a while since
Oh, uh, what in the name of Zeus's butthole? Like,
it's it's still wave on the 25th. It's going to get a little smoggy.
oh my gosh. Bless that man. Bless that man. I still gotta
What?
finish like what do you call it? Renfield, is it? The when he plays
Oh,
Dracula.
oh yeah, I saw that in the theater when I was
I am
crazy.
ashamed of myself that I did not see that in theaters. Like
Oh, yeah.
I should
Yeah,
be flogged in the streets for not seeing that.
yeah, as soon as I knew that was there come back in the theater, so I was
Yeah.
like, I was definitely there for that. Yeah.
So
Wonder when like his new movie like the Surfer is like supposed to come out.
he's playing a surfer?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
That seems
So like,
beneath him. Unless it's like, what do you call it? Like Point Break surfer. Like
let's see, when a man
is Nick
returns to
Cage
his
gonna play Patrick Swayze?
yeah, it's like when I find out like he actually made it to New Zealand after like paddling out in the storm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah,
His
here's
face
the
and
log.
his hairline are weathered back.
Okay, here's the log on it. It's when a man returns to his beachside hometown in Australia, he is humiliated in front of a teenage son by a local group of surfers who claim ownership over the scheduled beach of his childhood, or secluded beach of his childhood.
Again, you're not telling me that this is not a Point Break sequel. Like they're
So like so these kids are like the Anthony Kiedis group in Point Break that friggin' tried to fight him like midway through with Bunker.
could be. Everything's a crossover.
That'd be hilarious if that one if that was it.
Sorry,
It was
Richard,
like
for stealing your line. But yeah, we have Clayface going to this laboratory with Stella, who's this like doctor scientist type, and she puts him on this slab. It's kind of like it's like a mold, like it's like a person shaped mold that he goes into, and it kind of puts on like a tanning bed roof, like right on top of him, kind of presses him down, and when it lifts up. This is going to be kind of challenging to describe without visually showing you guys, but like, he's got like a plastic coating on top of him, like a shell, like a man-made action figure shell kind of deal. The best I can describe it is, and it was what I was asking on the Doc Squad if anybody has seen Red Dwarf. He looks like Crichton the android. It's like Clayface, like you smeghead, like
hard candy salt outside, chocolate soft chocolate inside.
that's exactly what I was going for. I'm like, yeah, he's like, it's just like the nougat filling inside of the crunch bar. Like, yeah, but you know what? Like, props to the writers for coming up with this idea because, like, I know a lot of the later Batman shows will take like more modernized kind of takes on like how to adapt the comic book characters into like, like a current, you know, modern world. But I'm like, I would not have thought of this. This is actually very cleverly done because it's the closest thing to normal as Clayface could never really get given his condition. Like they sell this in terms of this story, they treat Clayface like he's got like a disease, like a worsening, progressively like terminal disease.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because think so we do find that out more so what happens with that now, or I think oh actually yeah, I think after that is when we cut back to Batman in the Batcave
Hmm.
where he's kind of analyzing
The sample.
the stool sample the stool sample that they got,
Hmm.
and
It
then
fell from his bottom. It's a stool sample. I mean, his entire form is a bottom when you're a puddle, but
yeah, so he's like analyzing that, and like Alfred comes in with some tea, and he's like, "Oh, so I assume that our metamorphic friend Matt taking us back." So
Mhm.
it's like that's some good alliteration, Alfred. But I guess if he's English, so I guess he is pretty good with language. So I guess we can chalk that up to that. I guess.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Batman's like, he's losing his integrity, and Alfred's like, I didn't think he had any to begin with. He's like, no, his cellular integrity. He's falling apart. He's
Yeah.
dying. And Alfred's like, oh, that's awful. Well, would you like some tea? It's like, he just told you a man's dying, and you're just like, tea? Like,
Yeah, that's why I got that. That's why I have like Alfred's got jokes. Yeah, he just got that. Yeah, got that dry English humor in there before he knows all the facts. So he's like, oh shit, never mind.
but I'm not dying, right? That's what's important. You can't kill me. You're screwed without me. Yeah, but like it's just that idea that like if this thing was to happen to anyone, like Clayface's life must be a living hell. Like
Yeah.
just like having your entire body like falling apart. Like I remember back when we did Feet of Clay, like he described taking form as like tensing a muscle. So like imagine like a fist like you can't unclench. Like that's gotta suck. Like that's
Yeah, yeah,
gotta be a
yeah.
hard way to live.
Yeah. But even before he was like falling apart, yeah, just being in that form, yeah, and trying
Mhm.
uh, morph into something else, yeah. Because I imagine like that would be it was like a lot harder than like say like an Odo changing form or whatever from like DS9 or whatever sort of thing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so there you go. You should just talk to Dr. March and see what says he could turn him into a bat. Dr. March loves bats. He just has to make sure that he hasn't already turned himself into a bat. Or how's the bat supposed to turn him into something else? Bats can't use tet tubes, or can they? Yeah, so the Batman says to Alfred, like, with all the stuff that he's going through, like physically, like that's why he's committing all these robberies because he needs expensive medical procedures to get treatment. And he's like, and there's that woman who drove off. I wonder what her story is. So he asks Alfred to look into, Hagen's like, like whatever files and movie, like, scripts he's got just to kind of see like what connections this woman might have to him. So then we cut back to the lab where Stella is watching one of Hagen's old movies as this. Okay, I'm like, I know what they're going for here. They're trying to add to the tragedy of Clayface because if you guys can't tell from watching the episode already, Stella is in love with Clayface. Like she literally it's like I can fix him like in every sense of the word. Like uh and she's like watching one of his movies where he plays this it I'm surprised that Hagen didn't have a moment of realizing like how life imitated art with him when he played a guy who was in a serious accident, had some plastic surgery, came out of it, met a woman, and it's like, huh, this seems familiar. Oh yeah, this is my life now. Like, and yeah, she's watching it, and he goes to the doctor who clearly has a thing for him. Again, like it's kind of weird how like I know what I know the parallels. Like I'm well aware of what they're doing here, but I'm like, is anybody gonna realize how kind of like spookily accurate this is? Like I don't know, like just
Oh, yeah, 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 because they kept on paying back to her, like when she sees like the nurse,
yeah,
like
and she's
being
crying
like
the
all
entire
sad,
time.
yeah, being like sad that like yeah, he's like it looks like he's going for like the doctor or whatever, and then she
Yeah,
walks out and then she's like all sad, and then you see like the actor just kind of like look away, and then he's like out in the hall and he calls for her, and then he like calls her over sort of thing, and she's like, oh, that's so nice, and then that's when you hear like Matt Hagen, he's like, turn it off, and like smashes the TV or whatever.
yeah,
And she was like, oh shit. She was like, oh shit, I didn't think you'd be awake by now. But like, it
yeah,
was something like that. If you knew, you probably was like be like pissy about watching like old stuff of his when he actually was like quote unquote normal. Like he died, like have like yeah, it's like be like us right now, have like put like headset on so it wouldn't be too loud so that even if you did woke up, you wouldn't necessarily know what you're watching. But I guess
yeah,
that I guess like the headphones and TV technology wasn't a thing back in the 90s.
yeah. Or she could just wait for him to be asleep. Well, maybe he was asleep. Does Clayface sleep? I don't know.
Yeah, like after they put him in that the shell or whatever, she was like, yeah, go to sleep for a bit or whatever.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay,
So
so I
so
answered
I
my own
so
question.
so so I guess so.
Yeah. And I guess he the
Or
this
for like so induced or not is I guess is more the question. I guess maybe.
yeah, he clearly needed more
Maybe,
as anesthetic.
yeah, maybe like I got Michael Jackson, but without the overdose.
Oh no.
Because that's what it was. Because I guess he was that's what he was.
Oh, I thought you were going for something else with Michael Jackson. Okay. I see.
Well, like
Okay.
like it was the cause of his death, but like I guess he was doing
Yeah.
that for a while because he couldn't sleep, so he just
Yes. Yeah.
went under the anesthesia to quote unquote sleep, which really isn't really sleeping, but it kind of is.
Remember when
So
Reed was like sharing on the podcast when like his doctor recommended that exact same medication and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna pass. Like it's like I know what bad stuff can happen from that.
wait, what?
Whatever medication that Michael Jackson took that led to his overdose. All right, I might be
Yeah,
misquoting Reed here, but like I think
because
he said like his
because
doctor
because
recommended it.
yeah, because whatever it was is anesthesia.
Oh, I don't know what if it was that or something else, but
Because
like,
because that's what killed. It was whatever the anesthesia was that put
uh,
him to sleep was what it killed him. So I
I'd have to
don't.
re listen to that episode then. All
Yes, I
right,
don't think
we
that's
can
the
cut
thing.
this
Yeah,
out.
so.
I'm not. Reed's like, what are you saying? I'm not a drug addict. Like, anyway, so Stella's like, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, and Hagen's like, I'm sorry, like I've had an outburst. I just can't live like this all the time. Like all these treatments, like having to be hooked up to tubes to live, like, it's too much. And so she's like, "Well, I might have some good news for you." And that's where she takes him over to back to the lab and shows him this little like sample of himself and puts this little dropper of a substance inside it. So this thing goes from like liquid to solid, like it hardens the sample of stool, as it were, and like we've gone from chocolate mousse to hard boiled egg. He's like, that's amazing. Like, how'd you do that? And she's like, it's a rare isotope. Or what was it? It was like
Yeah, yeah.
MS-40,
MP40.
MP40. Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's like, it's a rare like isotope thing, and it's gonna be available. Like it's like got a chance to give you as close to retaining your form, returning you to the form of Matt
yeah,
Hagen as
because
you
there was like
can.
a metamorphic isotope, or whatever. Because as she was
Right.
explaining that, he was holding his hand over it, and he was like kind of moving it, and it was like changing form, so you can kind of you can see that he's kind of been able to control it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So she says, there's only one catch. It's a very rare source, and it's only found at Wayne Biomedical Labs. So, how did she get this sample? Is my question. Like, did she work for the lab and then got fired or left? Like, I don't know, like how she got her hands on this thing then.
Oh yeah, it was already, yeah, so just somehow I was able to sneak out a sample, yeah, I guess, but
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really think about that, yeah,
Yeah, it literally just popped in my head. I'm like, wait a sec, how'd you get this thing? Like, it's one thing if you knew about it, it's another thing to have it. Like, yeah, so Clayface is like, it may be hard for a human to break in, but I'm Clayface, remember? So he, rips off the plastic coating and, goes back into his hulking form. And so it's funny because we then cut back to we cut to Wayne Medical Lab, and Bruce Wayne is in his office and he's like on the phone with Alfred saying like, have you learned anything about, like what Clayface is doing? And he's like, I'm still looking through it, but like I haven't found any connection as of right now. And as that's happening, Clayface is broken into the lab, and he's, like, give me the MP40 to like this random scientist lady. And she hits another silent alarm that activates it. So Bruce hears what's going on, which only furthers my belief that Bruce Wayne needs to spend more time in his office, because if he was out Batmaning right now, he'd just get there too late.
yeah, yeah, because he's at his desk, yeah, and he like he sees like the flashing light on the desk, yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, something's going on here.
Yep. And what I really like is when Clayface breaks the canister, or the case holding the canister open, and grabs it. We cut briefly to the lady scientist running down the hall and saying to the security guards, "Help, help. There's like monster back there, an intruder." So they're like, "We're on our way. Don't worry." And what we don't realize until a second
So,
later,
would you like necessarily like if you saw Clayface in his like natural form, would you say, hey, that's a monster?
I mean,
Would that,
I wouldn't to his
would that,
face.
yeah, no, like, would that be like if you needed to like quickly describe like what you saw to somebody? Like, I saw a blank. Would
I'd
it
be
be
like, it's a giant, it's a gargoyle, or
yeah,
yeah, a
like a
monster.
giant, yeah, but would you, yeah, I thought that being him going with monster like right away kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah,
Like I probably my like second or third thing or whatever. If you're going on like a yeah, I think it'd probably be like third or fourth on my list of like what you describe them as like maybe a monster,
yeah.
but probably wouldn't be like number one.
It's a living fecal. It's a living
And
shit.
not that I know offhand what like what I would think would be a better thing to call him, but like
Yeah.
not sure like if monster would have been like the first thing to go to, but I guess also does kind of generalize, I guess too. But I don't know, it just felt like monster stuck out weird for me, I guess.
I mean, I would call the Joker a monster, but that's more on what he does. That's
Yeah.
not necessarily because his face is white and his hair is green. It's because, oh no, this guy would blow up an orphanage if he had the chance. Like, so yeah, as she's running out to the parking lot, we think that these guys are going to find Clayface. This is Clayface running out. She's
Yeah,
quickly,
because yeah,
unseemly taken the form.
yeah. She no, as she's like running out, like just outside, you see that she has a canister that
Yeah.
he had broken out of the thing that oddly, yeah, because it was weird because like after like he got into the room and to get the stuff, it was just like a weird like it was like a medicine cabinet on the wall
Yeah,
that
there's
was
very little security within
no,
that lab.
no, it's not the security thing. It was just, yeah. Why would it be there? Like instead of like on like in the middle of the room, like in a safe or something else. It just looked like a weird like medicine cabinet thing on the side of the wall that wasn't really like marked up with it or like saying like, hey, this is the whatever
Yeah, there's no
isotope.
biohazard
Yeah,
symbol
or
or
so
anything
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
So
Like,
it just felt weird that like that was like
yeah.
that's like where it was like in that room.
Wayne
But
Enterprises, too rich for OSHA.
yeah, yeah, just it seemed really weird. That's like yeah, where it would have been in
Yeah.
that room.
So is that when Batman manages to find him running away, sees
Yeah,
him.
yeah, because I think he's like up on the like fifth, sixth, seventh floor or whatever, and he
Yeah.
sees like sees like him running away, and the nurse or whatever, the scientist form or whatever, because he see like that jacket, so he's like, that's probably who I'm looking for, yeah, because he knows it's Clayface at this point, yeah,
Mhm.
so I
So
think
he's running
for
down to
that.
the subway, and we have this scene of yeah, in the this middle ground between human form and turning to mud, where Clayface is just like like holding onto the subway pole and like basically liquefying, and this
And
little girl.
I can say like I know I've like running for the subway a few times because I live in Toronto, so I've taken the subway before. Like I know what it feels like how never like run for the subway, you just made it and you're just like, oh, but I think it's just that's because I'm old.
But is this the weirdest thing you've seen on the subway? Because I'd argue it isn't.
No, yeah, that's like there's normal stuff. There's like I like to say like I know what he feels like if he's just like feeling like shit afterwards, like after having to run for the subway.
Yeah,
He's just like, so I'm like, yep, I know exactly how he feels.
he's had the bad Quiznos.
So
That's
yeah,
what
so
she's.
like so as he's as he's like in the form or whatever, like the kid sees him, he's like, oh, that lady looks like he has mud over all over, and then he's like starts turn back into Clayface or whatever. And then more people start to notice, and like I even had to rewind this just to make sure I heard it right. And you just hear like the one people like, oh, screaming like, and then all I hear the one person like in that all night is like, oh, the smell. And it's like I was imagine that probably would, yeah, like like Clayfacey thing probably would have like a weird ass smell, and being on the subway after it's closed, like yeah, there's nowhere for the
In
smell
a
to go.
confined space.
Yeah, there's nowhere for that smell to go other than in your nose. So like yeah, so like whatever. Even if it was like a mild smell, it was probably just enough to fucking like knock you on your ass.
He probably smells like sulfur and cabbage. Like, ugh, yeah, it's gross. But yeah, I was just like, that's the funny thing is like it's one of those quick lines that just kind of adds some three dimensionality to the circumstances. It's like, oh my gosh, this I don't know why I laughed so hard
No,
about
no, yeah,
that.
because it was something you wouldn't necessarily expect to think
Yeah.
about or whatever. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that probably does like have really smell really fucking bad."
Hey, props to Stella because I guess she is willing to bear that cross to be with him is just like, yeah, I know
No,
that
it was probably just like it's probably just like when he's like at that point where he needs to go back into his uh his candy coating shell machine
yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
airtight.
So it's probably not like all the time or whatever.
It's
So it's
vacuum
probably just like
sealed.
so it's probably if he's pushing it too long sort of thing. He's like you're like, oh yep, time for your vacuum machine, Matt. You're starting to smell.
He's pushing it too long. That's what got him in the slimy pit to begin with. We'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, we have this kind of tussle between Batman and Clayface on the subway. I forget what happens there. You might have to remind me between the subway and when he gets back to the lab. Oh yeah, he jumps out of the window. Yeah, he. Oh no, Batman. He pulls out
Oh,
this like freezing
oh
thing.
yeah,
Remember?
yeah. I think this is part of like we had at one point he like ends up like freezing whatever, and then just like yeah,
Yes,
it jumps out and like lands in the back of the truck. Yeah.
that's
So
it.
yeah. So like yeah, like the scene made me think of Terminator 2. Yeah, because I think at one point
Hmm.
like on the subway, he fucking throws him in the corner, and then just kind of like his head's like is like head and torso is facing away from him, and just kind
That
of
was it. Yeah, I
and
love
just
that
kind of
shot.
then it turns around and I think that same sort of shot like in the wherever the fucking molten lava thing is at the end of Terminator 2. Yeah, like he throws the
Yep.
T-1000 into the wall. He's facing the wall, and then his hands are up. And he just kind of does the same thing. Just turns kind of does and turns back around. Yeah, and then he gets frozen. Then again another T-1000 again. It gets frozen and falls and breaks into pieces.
Yeah. No, it's really good animation here. And yeah, I do start to see a little bit of what Bruce Timm's talking about because yeah, it can be no easy task for the artists to be able to keep up with like how to translate all this
uh,
onto the
to
screen.
animate all this stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, and to make it look good. Like that's the
yeah,
thing. Like this
yeah,
is 30 years old and it still looks
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah. Like all this animation is, yeah, like all of it. This entire episode is like really well done. Yeah,
Yeah. So we have then Batman briefly go back to the Batcave and oh this is interesting because Alfred's showing him what he's found. So Alfred is like what did he say? Oh yeah, he says like all the women that I could find, Master Bruce, related to Mac Hagan were of less intellectual variety. It's like, so you're just saying groupies is what you're saying. It's like, I mean, Bruce Wayne has groupies. Like you bring them home. Like you're the guy who
yeah.
drives them to the place.
I
Like,
was gonna say, or yeah, he's probably driven a few of them home. Yeah,
yeah,
like Pepper and Iron Man. Yeah.
yeah. So he makes mention of what was it? He's like, oh yeah, he mentions a female doctor from Hagen's movie Dark Interlude, which apparently was the same movie that Stella was watching.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, like initially they couldn't find anything, and then you looked into like surgery consults or whatever because you had
mhm.
to like look a bit deeper because initially like there's no connections or whatever to like doctors or anything. Yeah.
So fun fact for anybody who's played the Arkham Knight games, you can find a poster for the movie Dark Interlude somewhere in the gameplay. I'll see if I
Oh,
can
really?
find it and put it on the Discord.
Yeah,
But
in which game is it? Do you know?
Arkham
Is,
Knight.
oh, it's Night. Yeah, yeah. I think I need to go back through those games. Yeah.
So what was it? Oh yeah, so when he's mentioning the doctor with the Dark Interlude thing, that's when Batman's like, "Alfred, you're a genius." And Alfred's like, "Of course I am." Like and he's like, "I have no idea why, but like good for me." Like
Like, well,
and
of
so
course.
yeah, I'm the one who raised you. How do you think the world's greatest detective became mentored? Like, please call me daddy, please once. Like so he zips off in the Batmobile, and we cut then to the back to the laboratory on the cliffside, and it's this very Frankenstein looking like climax where like lightning strikes and like like strong. The music in this episode's so good, man. Like, cause
Because even as he's leaving the Batcave, yeah, like the door opens, there's the lightning
yeah.
strike, then he drives off, and there's another strike. Yeah, so like just to start off that it's a nice like stormy night.
hmm It was very, very good. So we have Stella pumping the M40 into Clayface, and you can see the difference because he's gone from like a very like kind of blocky form to now into like a more human looking Matt Hagen appearance. And he's like, I
And
can feel it.
then like almost right away, yeah, he's like, yeah, I can feel it's working, and then that's when he starts to change, yeah, and then all of a sudden, like you hear it click, and then he starts reverts back to his old form, and he's like, no,
Batman
and then
Buzzkill has shown up. Like he just hit the button and Stella's like, dude, like what the hell?
I like this is one of the few times where I think that I'm like 100% like Batman is in the wrong in this in this part.
Well,
Like,
and
yeah,
earlier in
don't
the
stop
episode,
like yeah, don't like interrupt like an experiment like midway through that secret like
yeah,
fuck shit up like hardcore, man. Like it doesn't matter if it's fucking Clayface and he's like a supervillain, man. Like that's fucked up.
yeah, and like he had said earlier in the episode, like I'd offered to make you human once before, so like let me try again. And so like that makes me think, okay, yeah, you want to help him as long as it's making you money at the same time, as long as he
Or
comes
or
to
or, or
Wayne Industries.
no, I didn't take that as or I just took it as like as long as he's doing it instead
Yeah,
of
I want the
somebody
credit.
else.
Like
Yeah,
help me feel good about me, and by
yeah,
association make you better.
yeah.
But help me. Me. I just picture that Family Guy Julia Roberts thing where it's like, you know, I know that the Hurricane Katrina victims have had a lot of things that have had bad happen to them, but the important thing is I'm okay. Me, me. Oh my God. Oh, so yeah, he's like, he's like, how did you find us? And Batman's like, well, realized you need a medical consultant for your movie, so I did some research to. Okay, they have so apparently her name is Stella Bates, so they have a very less than subtle wink at the fact that she used to own a motel, Bates Motel. Get it? And so like you have
I don't get it. No.
yeah. I can send you one of two. I can send you the movie or I can send you the TV show. You pick. Like I can send you more than one of the movies.
Or the movie that like the shot for shot remake.
Yeah.
Did you ever listen to Kevin Smith's podcast at all?
Which one?
Hollywood Babylon.
Oh no.
Okay.
I've listened to Batman on Batman, but
Okay.
yeah. Well, why is he was he involved in that
Yeah.
remake?
Not involved. No, it's just because in that remake, because like the late Anne Heche is in that movie, I guess
Oh
in the sh
right.
and in the shower scene, I guess the way she like falls and like lies on the ground, it ends up showing her
Oh
butthole in that
my
movie.
gosh.
Yeah, so in like in the earlier things, and because it ended up being like a huge fucking like focus for him, or it was like a movie that like a mainstream movie that showed somebody's butthole, whatever. So like and it became a huge thing on that show, and then like somebody like sent in a song that they made that it was like Anne Heche's butthole. Let's all go
What?
inside. Yeah, so
I wish you guys could
it's
see the look on my face right now. It's a confusion and
this all happened like before she died, so like it was in slightly better taste, but it was
I
still
was gonna say slightly better. Yeah.
yeah, like it was funny, but like still kind of like
Imagine finding somebody has written a song about describing your own butthole. Like, yeah, I guess any publicity is good publicity. Like, all
so
right.
so just so talking about Psycho just made me think of that.
Psycho made you think of Anne Heche's butthole. I was going for Vince
No,
Vaughn,
I
man.
swear it makes sense. There is a
I believe you.
connection.
I believe you. I'm just gonna take your word on it. I'm not gonna do my own research on. I'm moving on from Anne Heche's butthole.
Let's all go inside. Sorry.
Oh my God. Let's all go inside.
I'll send you
Holy
the song
crap.
later.
Oh my gosh, man. That I'm gonna have that stuck in my head for the next hour. So, as I was saying, Batman, I love you, but I hate you. Batman's like, like I followed the records, like realized you sold the motel, Stella, and you bought this place. And so like this is how I was able to find you. It's Overhagen. And so Stella just goes like full ham and just goes and she goes like charging for him. Batman casually dodges and she goes head first into like a bunch of full like beakers with like glass flying all over her face. I'm just like, what was that?
And also ultimately just like fucking up like the experiment that they were
Yeah.
doing. It was like I'm sure it was probably like all like the MP40 that they had and just like
Oh my
totally fucked
gosh.
that up.
She just dove headfirst into a radioactive substance.
Yeah, into some isotopia.
She's gonna get all the cancers above the neck.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know what? because this is our last Clayface thing of this series. Why don't they just turn Stella into the new Clayface? That would have been cool. It's like I become you, like Bride of Frankenstein kind of thing. Like that would have been a cool.
They kind of did that with like in the Batman Beyond with Ink or
Oh,
whatever. It was like
Ink, yeah,
yeah, I guess
yeah,
I thought that was like the new like the updated version of like Clayface or that's how I
yeah.
took that. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, yeah. Ink was all Ink. Like I hope that we do get to Batman Beyond sometime with the show because yeah, I got
Uh,
a lot of good thoughts on that show.
we'll see how I if I still want to continue editing. I think that if I want to continue editing podcasts, it will be my like the major factor if we go into that or not
Yeah,
more than anything. I think.
if you've reached Batman fatigue.
No, it's well, not Batman fatigue. It's just like extra work fatigue. I'm like
I get you.
because every week it's like Monday. Like Monday, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to fucking edit this before like midnight tonight.
That's fair. That is more than fair. Yeah. Yeah. Crunch time sucks. I get it. But yeah, after Stella's picking glass shards out of her face, that's when Clayface steps off of the table, and for no reason at all, he does exactly as you described earlier in the episode, Stella, and screams into the camera, and I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah,
you sound like Tommy Wiseau, like,
I know, and it's funny because like the reason why I know that this actually is from like a streetcar named Desire instead of The Simpsons is because actually in science and like when I was in high school is like when that probably like, was when that episode of The Simpsons happened where Flanders was where it showed like Flanders in the streetcar named Desire. He did the Stella scream and stuff. And there was like a bad weather day at school one day, so there's only like three or four of us in science class one day, so we did like a trivia like a contest or whatever just to kill time or whatever, and that and Stella was the answer or something like that. And we were trying to figure out what it was, but
mhm.
and like the four of us so we could only think of the Simpsons, but couldn't remember that it was Streetcar Named Desire. So
You leave
and
Mr.
because
Burns
of
out
that,
of this.
so it's because of that is why it's stuck in my head that it was from
Yeah.
Streetcar Named Desire instead of just knowing that scream is like Stella was from Streetcar Named Desire. So I had to like do that whole fucking mental like workaround to know like where that where that reference is from. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's not The Simpsons, but The Simpsons tells me where it's from, so I have to like think of so it's like not The Simpsons, but also I have to think of The Simpsons to tell me like what it is.
This is why we keep bringing back to The Simpsons on this podcast because it educated so much of our pop culture. Like, and we're still learning from it.
Yeah, because as soon as I started, I say it because I heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, Streetcar Named Desire because of
Yeah.
Flanders, yeah.
Yeah. We laughed, but now we understand why we laughed. We laughed and we learned. Yeah, so as he's like, he, Clayface squats, goes and bursts out, and the brown goo, pops out of the package, so to speak, because of the plastic coating comes out. Uh, Again, I have to describe what is shown to me, Adam. This is the task that has been given to me. I shall do it as colorfully as possible. So he starts fighting with Batman, and oh my gosh, I know he's an actor, but Clayface just like in very Arnold Schwarzenegger fashion just hits the theater puns over and over and over again. He's like, what does he say? You've upstaged me for the last time, Batman. Time to bring down the curtain. Time for your final bow, Batman. I'm like, please just kill him and shut up. So then we have him like try and swallow Batman whole. Like he basically like absorbs him into his body. And like this was an insane scene because like you have Batman struggling to get out. Like he looks like a xenomorph like trying to pop out of his chest. And
Yeah.
it was surreal. and he like basically like inhales him back in, and Stella's like, is he? And like he slowly stops moving. Like they're taking their times with this, which I really appreciated because it just like helps you settle in as Clayface is like, I can feel him. His heart is slowly slowing down. Cut to immediately him going, uh-oh. And the bat grapple shoots out of the back of his head. Like, holy crap. Like, this is what I mean. Like, but with Hardak and with Clayface, the animators are like, oh, we're gonna have some fun today. Like, we're gonna do some stuff that we can't do. Like, like it's really cool. Like, it's it's one of those things like it's graphic and violent, but it's not like traumatizing.
So yeah, he's not a human, so it's okay. So it's
Exactly.
like less traumatizing to children, yeah. Because
Yeah.
if you saw like a human have like a fucking grapple shoot over their head, yeah, it'd probably
Yeah.
like blow some children's minds.
Yeah. Imagine like every once in a while Batman falls asleep and like he's like going to sleep, and then he just like wakes up in the middle of the night, like, "Ah, I'm stuck inside Clayface again." Like,
Yeah,
like he's buried
yeah,
alive in mud.
yeah, yeah. Instead of that, like that involuntary twitch, but like right before you fall asleep, because like the body thinks it's like dying or whatever. It's like so instead of like that, he's like, oh, Clayface.
Yeah. Doesn't smell as bad as here as in the Sewer King's hideout. I heard that. I hear everything. Every house has a toilet. So yeah, he fights, and then they go out inside. So just a reminder, because we mentioned there was a thunderstorm outside. It's raining. So like Clayface has gone outside, and the rain is like pelting down on him as he's, like fighting with Batman. And Stella says, like, Matt, like you got to get out of the rain. Like your body is absorbing it. So like his cellular degradation is just continuing to, speed up. And so he's like, no, like I have to end this. Like he's so desperate to stop Batman. And that's what I like about, like, they know how to draw that line between like how do we make Clayface both a tragedy and also he's making his, darker choices that lead to his own demise. It's a very delicate line, and I can tell that the writers made a lot of thought into how to do it to still remind the audience, yeah, he's a villain, but his life really sucks. And he's doing
Yeah,
whatever he can to get out of this condition.
yeah,
So yeah, they get to the cliffside, and as he's about to like, take on Batman, he like moves to go get him, and they both slide off the cliff. And so Batman is it's kind of like that Batman Begins scene where Bruce is like holding on to the cliff and like grabbing like Ra's al Ghul's hand after they slid off the Temple Mountain.
yeah,
But you imagine Ra's al Ghul being made of mud.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and oh my gosh. So she's like, save him, Batman. And I'm like, okay, I know you're not trying to make a joke here, Batman, but think about how you're putting this. He says, Hagen, pull yourself together. It's like, really? Like, I don't know why I laugh at that. Like, is this how Batman tries to take levity into the situation? Like, just try like I'm having a rough night too, Like, so yeah, Hagen. What was Hagen's last words? As he's like, looking up at Batman, and he's like thinking that he's, they basically his time has come. Oh yeah, he as he's like trying to make himself climb up, but he realizes it's too late. He says, "Too late. Curtains going down." And he like slowly like liquefies and like hits the water. And of course, like Batman's like, no, and Stella's like devastated, realizing like Clayface is, like, completely liquefied. So this is in this rendition of the show, this is our last appearance of Clayface for the original BTOS. And that is because when they wrote this episode, they intended this to be Clayface's last appearance.
Yeah.
Michael Reeves was surprised that they were actually allowed to get away with essentially killing Clayface. I mean, what is killing him in the, the physical sense. But he does get an explanation when we see him in the new Batman Adventures as to how he survived. But yeah, no, it was
Is it still Ron Perlman voicing him in that one, or is it
yeah.
somebody else? Yeah, yeah, because
If it's
yeah, no,
not, I would be surprised because I know he comes back for Justice League.
yeah, because I was like halfway through, and I was like that voice does sound familiar, and I didn't think of it. Then I was looking afterwards, so I'm like, oh yeah, it is Ron Perlman doing that voice, yeah. And
Yeah.
I knew it sounded familiar.
Hmm. So yeah, we
You
have
ever,
this.
you ever watch the that movie that he was in and Cronos? It was like from like 1991.
No, I can't say I have.
And I think I can't remember who it was like a famous who directed that movie as well as the famous.
I could look it up while you're finishing the recap.
I don't know. Yeah, Grandma. Yeah, it's like I think it's like Guillermo del Toro's like first movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like
dang.
yeah. And it was like something it had something to do with like it was like vampires and stuff.
Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Definitely check that out. Yeah, so it's like like Ron Perlman and Guillermo del Toro before they worked together again in Blade 2.
Angel de la Guardia. Ooh. Okay, this actually sounds really cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
so yeah,
right.
I saw it like a while ago. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting movie.
Right on. But yeah,
Yeah,
we have the episode ending with we have like a brief kind of silhouette in the water that shows like Clayface like dissipating into the below the surface, and Stella's on the cliffside like crying, realizing that the love of her life has been gone. And I think that's where it really just kind of ends with, Batman just like putting a hand on her shoulder. We don't see her get arrested. Did she get arrested? I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
yeah. I don't think I don't really see like what they could really arrest her for. I guess really.
Yeah.
Because if anything, it was Clayface that stole the MP40, so they can't really pin that on her.
Yeah.
So and then that was I guess that was only really the main thing that was against the law, I guess.
Imagine the
'Cause, like
trial. It's like, do you have anything in your defense? I was trying to cure him. Oh, well, in that case, yeah, we're kind of wasting the court's time, aren't we? Like, wow,
yeah.
who am I? Like, wow. Like,
I tried to make a mud man back into normal man. So
yeah, yeah. Like, well, we could have gotten the healthcare CEO to do it, but yeah, he's a yeah,
work for the people.
yeah. Got ratted out by a McDonald's employee. Did
And
you
then I
hear, by
mean
the way, that they're not getting the full
yeah,
reward?
because they call 911 instead of the FBI. Yeah, so fucking that's what you get for fucking snitching.
Well,
Snitch, yeah,
that, and it's also like, like if you like, I
they got fired from McDonald's too.
did they
Because
really?
because everyone figured out what the McDonald's was, and they got
Oh,
like
that'd be a PR nightmare, dude.
they got review bombed on Google, and
Oh my gosh.
they had to go in and take out all the negative reviews that were the obvious ones, or just because people were being pissy about that. Yeah, and then they got apparently they got fired and stuff too.
Holy crap.
Yep. So yeah, so as I said, stitches get stitches.
Yeah, that was Mudslide, and like all substances, they return to the sewers. So yeah, maybe Sewer King will bring him back to life.
Howdy-ho.
It all comes back to Simpsons and South Park.
Yes, so what would you give this episode out of five stool samples?
I am going to give it ooh 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Um, I like that it's more of a Clayface story. I mean, I still like the original Feat of Clay two-parter. And like I think it's about tied in terms of story quality here. But I also like that Batman's more involved, and that, like there's like definitely the animators are having more fun than they were in the last one. Like they definitely knew how to, pull out all the stops when it came to how to bring Clayface to life. And like it's no small task to figure out, okay, how do we basically change up the physics of this character in a different way and still make it interesting. So yeah, and the music was amazing. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 as well. Yeah, it was a nice yeah, like sequel episode to Clayface, but it's sad as well because it looks like he is possibly dead. But it's always good to get Ron Perlman back. So yeah, definitely 3.5 out of 5 as well for me. So, all right, that is the episode for this week and this year. Thanks for joining us in the Batcave to talk about Batman, the animated series. So, you can join us next week and next year with the episode of Paging the Crime Doctor. I think that's another Leslie Tompkins episode, if memory serves. So you can follow us on Twitter/X at Beyond Backcast, on Instagram at Beyond the Backcast. We're on YouTube now at youtube.com /at Beyond the Backcast. You can rate, review, subscribe us there, or wherever you found your podcast, where you listen to us now. It'll help us out. And where can we find you on the internet, Braden?
You can find me on Instagram at Alfred is Zaddy, and you can also see us on
Zaddy.
our Discord, Beyond the Backcast. They have a link to our Discord there on our link tree, and our Facebook group is Beyond the Backcast as well. We'd love to have you guys join our chats on there, where we post lots of Batman memes, talk about the show, and yeah, all things Batman related.
All right, and you can follow me on Instagram at Stone Chuckman. That is my personal account. And thanks for joining us as I said, thanks for joining us in the Batcave to talk about Batman the Animated Series at Beyond the Backcast. Goodbye, good chums. Kapow.